Hi, guys. Today I thought I'd talk to you about compassion fatigue, what it is, and how you can combat it as a PSW. Compassion fatigue is basically doing your duties as a PSW, but you're doing it with such compassion that it can kind of lead to physical, mental, and emotional burnout. Usually, compassion fatigue is connected to end of life care or what we would call palliative care. So there's a lot of emotion around inside of a palliative care room that the PSW is kind of entering, providing care to their client. You guys are providing the best possible care to your clients. This can kind of be an emotional environment for you. And this is what can kind of lead to getting you to the fatigue point, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And you are providing great compassion to your clients with your compassionate care. So when we don't think of ways to replenish ourselves after providing this type of care, it can kind of chip away at us emotionally and mentally and physically. And it can actually lead to not only fatigue, but exhaustion, burnout, and then you're going to start to have thoughts of leaving the profession. So it's directly connected to the demands of your job as a PSW and how you're providing compassionate care to your clients. Again, if you've ever done palliative care for one of your clients, you know the room can be very emotionally charged. And I think some of that energy does kind of rub off on a PSW. So the way to combat it is to, number one, acknowledge that you have to start looking after yourself. You have to start a self-care routine, and you have to incorporate a few techniques to kind of combat this type of fatigue and exhaustion that could creep up on you without you even knowing it, right? If you have multiple clients that are palliative care, it can kind of lead to burnout quite quickly in the PSW. So, what are some techniques we can keep in mind to combat compassion fatigue? I think acknowledging it is number one, and doing kind of a self awareness check before you enter work. How do you feel for that day? How do you want to perform during your shift? Take a couple minutes to kind of see yourself during your shift that day, see how things are moving smoothly, see how you're handling different situations, whether they're good or bad. How are you going to handle them? How are you going to speak to your clients? The more prepared you are for your shift, the more smoother it's going to go. Another very popular one are doing breathing exercises, breathing in through your nose, holding it for a few seconds, and breathing out through your mouth. If you do that 3 or 4 times, and then you're going to do that 3 or 4 times during your shift, a good time actually is when you use the washroom. Do breathing exercises when you're in the washroom 3 or 4 times per shift. That's a good way to kind of reset yourself. And then another very important one is creating a buffer or what we call a transition between your work and home life. So if you can take 2 or 3 minutes before you enter your home to kind of reset yourself. So it could be the simple fact of listening to a song. It could be reading a few pages in a book, going for a short walk. Some people go to the gym or go to the park. Anything you can think of that you would like to do would be considered a buffer or a transition, because you really want to get into having a separation between your work and home life, right? That's a big deal. You don't want to carry your work life into your home or into your evening activities. So, to kind of combat compassion fatigue, we want to kind of develop these types of routines or new habits into our life. Now, you are going to have to stick with them for at least 30 days. It takes about 30 to 45 days for new habits to kind of become part of our subconscious, to kind of be part of our central nervous system. And then it's going to start to come automatically for you when you start to do these new habits. Nutrition is another good one. How are you eating? How are you drinking? Can you make minor changes in those areas as well? Try to start off with just one or two. Try to accomplish one or two of those. And then you're going to try to take that momentum to try and add some new habits and routines as well. And don't be afraid to talk to people at work. You have a supervisor, you have other PSWs. Most places of work provide employee assistance programs as part of your work benefits, and you can talk to different professionals on the phone if you kind of find yourself overwhelmed, stressed out, or having that type of burnout that we've been referring to. So, hope that is helpful, and I hope you kind of develop some new routines to handle the compassion fatigue and the physical demands of your work. Hey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on JoJo the Caregiver Show.